Hello. Can I speak to an officer, please?
Yeah. What's it regarding?
It's regarding an assault.
Assault? Okay.
Yeah.
Happened here in Southaven?
No, it didn't, but that's why I wanted to basically speak with a law enforcement officer about
Okay.
it.
And what's your name?
Don Matthews.
Don Matthews?
Don Matthews. Yeah.
Okay.
All right.
Hey, how you doing?
Hey, man.
You speak with an officer?
Yeah, I did. I don't know if they're ahead of me or.
I was gonna say, I was here first, so I don't know.
Yeah.
I think we have somebody coming up here for y'all, as well as you two. Do you wanna go back here in this room so we can talk?
Yeah, absolutely.
I didn't know if you, I mean, we can talk in front of them, it's up to
No,
you, let them know how
no,
you feel
no.
comfortable or not.
Yeah. Just
Typically, people don't like talking about their problems. and stuff
yeah,
like that, so-
just don't lock me in here like
No,
last
no, no,
time.
Oh, you're in here too. Well, excuse me. We can step outside here if you want to, it's up to you.
Hey, that works.
Wherever you feel comfortable with.
Yeah.
Like I said, I just don't wanna talk about other people's problems in front of others.
Right. Yeah, it's well, mine's a pretty public ordeal, and
A public
you know,
ordeal?
yeah, it's a very public ordeal
Okay.
actually.
Sure.
So I'm a journalist, and
Who do you work for? Which journalist company or
we
your own?
we the People News.
Cool.
Yeah. So Thursday, and I know that this is out of y'all's jurisdiction. There's absolutely nothing that y'all are going to be able to do about it.
Okay.
But I was hoping that you could basically kind of advise me on,
31.
you know, what options that I
Sure.
had that you know of.
I'll do my best. Of course, you know, different jurisdictions, they have different rules and everything else they go by, so.
Right.
But I can tell you what we would do and go from there. Now, again, I don't know if that would help or not, but.
So if all right, so if I'm out, you know, I'm filming on the sidewalk,
Okay.
and it's a public sidewalk,
Sure.
and somebody comes up threatening me, telling me to get off of the sidewalk, and then they charge at me and punch me, knock the camera off of the gimbal right here, and then step on the phone. What? First of all, what crimes would that be?
So.
That would be. I know that would be assault. That would probably also be fall under battery, correct?
So we don't have a battery charge. What we have is we have aggravated assault and we have simple assault in Mississippi.
Okay.
And obviously aggravated assault is considered a felony,
Right.
depending on the injuries that the person sustains and so forth as far
Sure.
as that goes. So with that, what you're talking about, unless they cause severe injury to your body, it would be
Right.
considered a simple assault at that point in time.
Okay.
As far as the destruction of your property, that would be considered malicious mischief.
Okay.
Because they had intent to destroy your property and go from there. In which, yes, we would allow you to sign charges for the simple assault as well as sign charges for the malicious mischief. Typically, the way we handle it, though, when people sign charges for those malicious mischief, simple assault, whatever it is, we set it for a probable cause hearing,
Yeah.
which then goes before the judge, and the judge hears what you have to say about it, or if you have evidence or whatever it may be.
And of course, if it's a felony, it would go before a grand jury.
Felony goes for a grand jury. Obviously, we would call detectives out there and everything else if it was considered aggravated assault, and go from there, in which they would have that go for a grand jury and get all that stuff figured out.
Now, if being that I'm a journalist, intimidation of a journalist, I believe I'd seen that in the penal codes somewhere, that there was and maybe that falls more under public officials.
I think it falls more under public officials. So what we do have a charge, it's called simple assault by physical fear. That's where the person doesn't necessarily put their hands on you, but they are coming at you, balled up fist, saying they're going to hurt you, harm you, or they could even have a possible gun in their hand.
Sure.
They could even point it at you, technically, and that would be considered simple assault physical fear because they have not shot you or whatever it may be.
Right.
Now, I understand the statute states specifically if somebody has a gun pointed at you, it could be kind of considered aggravated assault to a certain degree, but our DA's office and everything else, that the way they handle things, it doesn't exactly fall under that. So the
Okay.
physical fear, depending on how that happens, could fall under that if they don't put hands on somebody.
So then the next thing that's going to connect all this together is,
21, show me Salford.
this is going to shock you. What if that attacker was a law enforcement officer? It was unprovoked and on the sidewalk, okay? And taking it an extra step further, his supervisor was out there and 2 other officers were on scene. So I know that.
So
you
these
know,
are officers that are on duty, is what you're saying?
Yes.
Okay.
So I know that technically, you know, if a crime is committed outside of the presence of a law enforcement officer, they can't make I've been through that over Southaven before. They don't make an arrest on site, you know, if it's like an assault that happens inside of their presence. But where it gets into sticky, you know, treads into very murky waters is when not only is there other officers on scene that actually pull him off and actually say de-escalate when he still breaks through again and tries to attack again.
Sure.
But the supervisor's there, and there's no like recourse. There's no.
Well, I
nothing
disagree with
happens.
that. I disagree with that. There needs to be accountability as far as that goes.
Yeah.
I can tell you that if that did happen and that did take place, in which all of our officers wear body cameras, anyways, as far as that goes, then it would obviously be investigated and looked into, set before a disciplinary review board and everything else, and go from there. Now, as far as what would happen after that, I have no idea, obviously.
Well, I mean, obviously it would. I mean, it would be something that would fall under, if it was an attack that was unprovoked and it was an attack on,
Sure.
on a journalist, it would fall under an Title 18 U.S. Code 242.
Yeah, simple assault, absolutely.
And possibly even 241, you know, if there's the conspiracy to violate rights. But, you know, here's where it takes another twist is outside of the governor's mansion. Engaged in a peaceful protest, exercising the First Amendment, and it was the officer came, you know, just triggered it, state trooper,
Gotcha.
and obviously, you know, that's they're supposed to be held to, you know,
A higher standard.
a higher standard. They go through a higher level of training.
Sure.
It was almost, it literally, it brought me back to my days when I was in the Marine Corps, when I was in boot camp. Except, you know, this was physical, but it was literally no different than a drill instructor, you know, that was, you know, coming at somebody that you know,
Yeah.
to recruit. So I guess what I'm trying to ask is, I went over there, and you know, the FBI, they always hold themselves off. They want me to call Jax. They gave me the Jackson number down at the desk down there, and I called that, and they said, well, you can't speak to an agent over the phone. You have to come down here and do it in person, which, you know, I know firsthand from being up in Utah. They want you to bring ID so that they can run a background check, which don't have anything to hide, but it's the whole fact of I'm a constitutional rights activist and a journalist. I believe that somebody that's been victimized, that's fallen victim of a crime, shouldn't have to open themselves up to additional scrutiny just to speak with a sworn law enforcement
So I can
officer.
tell you the way our policy works. If we have somebody who wants to come in and file a complaint, I guess you could say, let's say they change their mind,
Right.
and they talk to supervisor, they change their mind because they might feel maybe like there would be some type of vengeance, I guess you could say, again, they just change their mind, whatever it may be. Then typically what I know what I do and have done in the past is I will go ahead and take their complaint, and it's in our policy. We take that complaint, we go ahead and write that complaint out, even though they won't fill it out themselves.
Right.
And they might have gone ahead and walked away. We go ahead and
And
look at it.
document
We look at the complaint anyway. Now, obviously, the officers or nobody, whoever's involved, doesn't know about it, but we go ahead and look at it because the way I feel about it is where there's smoke, there's fire, right? So, and then again, I'm just going to say this. Obviously, you know too, a lot of complaints we get, a lot of it is not accurate either. Just being honest with you. But that's why we look at it. It's checks and balances, I guess you could say. And that's why we do that, just in case, because the last thing we want is to have an officer here doing something here that they're not supposed to be doing. And especially they should be utilizing their body camera and everything else, which obviously if their body camera is not on during that interaction, which is against our policy as well,
Right.
then that's another issue and another problem within itself too.
Sure.
But again, where there's smoke, there's fire. It's something that I'd look into and investigate anyway. And if there's nothing there, that the complaint is not valid whatsoever, it's completely unfounded, then it would go away, obviously. But if there was something there that we didn't know about and the person was just afraid to come and tell us, then yes, we would still look at that and still treat it as a regular complaint and hold people accountable like they're supposed to be held accountable.
That's great. Yeah, I mean, that's kind of the thing about this whole situation is it's gotten to be, I mean, I anybody would agree it's a very intimidating situation because for 6 years now, I've gone to the it's been a cry for help to the authorities about just absolute, the most heinous public corruption that has gone on, and it started with one thing small. It started with an unlawful arrest for holding a state flag on a public sidewalk back in 2017 and asking the officer what his badge number was. He forgot to put his badge on his uniform before he left the sheriff's office. Well, that spiraled out of control because the video went viral on the internet, and they put him on administrative leave and conjured up a way to cover that up, to basically indemnify themselves. And they got away with that, and it led to something else. And they went to go cover that up because it became obvious, and they covered it up with something else. And it's just been, it started out with a couple of people, and it grew to a huge web, because before you know it, after 3 or 4 cover-ups, you have people that are covering other people's backs. It's just a natural way of life. I mean, it's just kind of, it starts with, and then you might have at some point a couple of Fed people that, that know some state people and basically kind of take their back. And then now you have the Feds taking the couple of Feds people's backs. And now I'm in a situation where I've made 3 Office of the Inspector General reports, and they won't even assign it a case number. It's got the evidence crystal clear, the links. They won't assign it a case number. They won't call me back. What do you do when the people that you're supposed to go to for help, when things get way out of control, when they're basically part of the problem and you're out of options? Because there's really nowhere else to go once you go to the Department of Justice, to the Office of the Inspector General, and it's just
it's frustrating, and you kind of lose faith, I guess you could say, right? Which I can't speak for your situation. I can't speak for other agencies. Do I know that there are and is corruption in certain areas? Yeah, I mean, it's everywhere, and it's not just in law enforcement. It's everywhere.
Yeah.
Just like there's bad cops, right? There's bad cops everywhere. Now, are there a lot of us? No, there's not a lot of bad cops at all. The percentage is actually very small. But it's just like there's bad doctors, there's bad lawyers, there's bad everything that you think about as far as that goes.
Well, and I think the one of the things why police get a bad rep, and I've personally experienced this myself, is when something is blatantly wrong. And I give you props because you said exactly the right thing as far as if something's wrong, what we're gonna
Absolutely, yeah, we're gonna investigate it. Yes, sir.
But so many of them, it's like a brotherhood. It's just like
Protecting.
it's just like the Marine Corps. It's just like the Navy. It's like a band of brothers. Okay, and the biggest problem that I've run into is when something is like blatantly wrong. It's out in the open wrong, and somebody, you ask an officer about that, and they don't want to say that it's wrong, even if they clearly know it is, just because they feel like to do that would be to betray a fellow brother.
Well, I took an oath and I swore that I would protect the Constitution and the civilians that I swore to protect as far as that goes, and that's what we train our officers to do as well. With that being said, we also teach our officers that if you see something that an officer's doing that they should not be doing, and it is actually your obligation to step in and stop that, whatever it may be, or speak up and do something. Because a lot of times it might not be to the point where you have to step in and actually stop the officer from doing it, but you see them doing something they shouldn't be doing. Well, speak up to that officer and say something to them. And if they refuse to say something or to do or to stop, at that point in time, then come to us and talk to us.
Sure.
And we're going to hold people accountable. That's what we do. So we have a good department in that. Our policy protects that, and we make sure that we do what we're supposed to be doing at all times.
Well,
do we make mistakes along the way? Absolutely, we're going to make mistakes.
And the thing is, man, like if it's just owning up to it, because it's like I've got a little issue going on with the Memphis Airport. I was up there, I was recording in the lobby, I wasn't over there by TSA. Really what it is I go around and I stress test rights, because it's basically, and I think it's a good in-house tool, because you're able to identify, okay, this is where we probably need to work on so that we don't, have any issues in the future and all that. So I was in the lobby of the airport, and 3 rogue officers came up and trying to go hands-on with me and gave me a trespass warning from the airport. Their supervisors looked at everything, and they're like, oh, I can't believe they did that. We have training on all this. Like, I cannot believe they did that. Like, they went way out of line. And so they sent it up to IA, and then I called to check on it because it's been about a month, and they said, well, you got to talk to legal. We've referred everything over to legal. So they sent me over there, and she's like, well, in a few days. I was like, look, here's the thing. I'm not trying to sue you. I've got enough on my plate as it is. All I want is for you to publicly say the officers were wrong right here. They made they shouldn't have done this, and to rescind the trespass warning. Because I want to come back up there so I can. It was kind of public ordeal, and I can show everybody, hey, look, I didn't do anything wrong. I'm back over here at the airport. They're wanting to kick the can down the road as long as possible, and it's like, come on, like that's, your supervisors up there, the lieutenants and the captains have already said, wow, I can't believe they did that.
Yeah.
So, but man, hey, look, I don't just go and push the bad out there. I like to highlight the good, because I think it's a good counterbalance. I think that you had an excellent discussion with me right here, and I think that you did a great job of representing the Southaven Police Department. Your name is Captain
Michael Pressgrove.
Michael Pressgrove.
Yes, sir.
Nice to meet you. Now,
You as well.
Lieutenant, and I told him Don Matthews, Matthew Reardon, same thing.
Okay.
It's not easy, or it's not hard to find that out. It's my pen name. I actually have a book that's about to publish.
Cool. What's the name of the book?
It's a autobiography expose, detailing the.
I like autobiography. That's pretty much all I read is autobiographies. So.
It's something.
It's usually about war. Is usually what I like to.
I got out of prison January 22nd of this year. It was a conspiracy. Lafayette County, 2 Lafayette County Sheriff's deputies called over to Galveston, Texas. I had actually just gotten out of prison August 1st of 2023 after serving a year because I went to the FBI office to report law enforcement corruption. I was banished from Lafayette County, and for official purposes, I was supposed to call in. Well, I did, and I recorded the calls. The deputy lied on stand in court, sent me to prison for a year. So when I got out, I took the transcript and I took the recorded calls, and I did what anybody would do, and I put the truth out there, and hold her accountable. It got 50,000 views in a few days. I got a call. I got some tips about corruption going on with the Galveston Police Department, and I drove 12 hours to go and meet up with some other journalist friends to go and film police stops on Broadway. So I'm coming into Galveston. I get pulled over. Officer claims that he smelled alcohol. I hadn't drank in 5 years. I kept demanding a breathalyzer over and over and over again. Wouldn't give me one. Took me to the hospital, drew blood. They had 8 officers hold me face down with my, on a hospital bed with my hands still handcuffed behind my back. The nurse kept sticking me with a needle. I sit in jail for 11 months in Galveston because Lafayette County took out a no-bond hold on me because I was on unsupervised probation. They created that mess right there so that they could silence me, and they kept me in the Galveston jail as long as humanly possible till 2 weeks before trial, extradited me to Mississippi. They robbed me of a trial, held a revocation hearing, used the officer's lies over Zoom, gave me a 2-year prison sentence. Even though I had not been convicted of it, it should have never been charged as a felony, and there should have never even been a DUI. But the governor signed off a false governor's warrant. He authenticated documents that were never authenticated. They actually, all the documents were screwed up. Didn't matter. They sent me to prison. I was in there for about 6 months, and then my sentence was vacated, declared illegal. I was released January 22nd, and there's been so much crazy stuff that's happened since then. But they sold my car at public auction. They for no reason. I've literally had to, my life has been shattered. I've lost my kids. I've lost everything. My resume, I have a phenomenal resume. It's not worth anything anymore. Nothing. Because when any company runs a background check because of, what Lafayette County did, they put 2 false charges and literally denied all due process. I had a family crisis going on with my kids, and if I couldn't bond out of jail, I know I'm not the only one. I know there are other people that take pleas when they're not really guilty of the crime because of situational, because of circumstances. And to me, that's not right. It kind of falls under fruit of the poisonous tree, if you ask me, because if that person's denied due process, then anything that comes is kind of like tainted evidence. I believe it shouldn't be considered. Of course, if they have a crisis going on, of course they're going to say, well, no, I wasn't coerced, because their attorney is going to tell them, hey, if you don't make this viable, the judge isn't going to accept it. And so there are a lot of lives, man, screwed up, and mine just literally has been decimated. And I'm a Marine Corps veteran. If it can happen to me, somebody that swore a lifelong oath to protect and defend the Constitution, then nobody's safe. And so, at this point, I do my journalism work. I do what I can because it's all I've got left. It's all my kids. They got scandalous mothers, and I can't see them. But you know what? I still feel like my fight is for them. So.
Well, don't stop fighting, man. I hate all that stuff happened to you as far as that goes. Keep doing what you're doing, because if anything, you are at least hopefully teaching officers, hey, you got to be mindful of where public areas are, and that it's okay in public areas to have something to be recorded. I mean, it is what it is, and things like that.
And see, I don't try to go up and provoke. That's the thing. A lot of officers think when they see me, it's another auditor. My thing is, I'm really not trying to provoke. I respond, so if basically they come at me kind of in a provocative way, then I can respond in a provocative way. But I don't really choose to go. I don't like doing that.
No, I'm not going to respond. I've been doing this 16 years, man. So
right.
I'm the kind of person that I'm going to talk to everybody with respect and kindness, and as long as you treat me the same way, I'm going to give it right back to you the same way
Absolutely.
too.
Absolutely.
But if you come at me in a disrespectful manner, then I'm going to give it back to you the same way too. And that's just how I operate.
Yep.
Now, I'm not going to cuss you up and down, but I assure you, promise you, you're going to get it back the same way.
Right.
So it is what it is. But
Well, yeah. So you'll see if you look at the website. My peaceful protest on Thursday, we called it National Fuck the Governor Day. I got a foam board sign and wrote "Fuck the Governor" on the front of it, and I had 450, 500 people watching live on the live stream. By the time I got off of it, hour and a half later, 74,000 views on it.
nice.
You know, it got a good bit of exposure, but that's the thing, man. Like 500 witnesses watching live while this damn, gorilla of a state trooper just comes completely unhinged.
Yeah.
And they should know better, man. Like a camera out there, streaming. These things are career killers if you do something like that, and it's like there's no need in taking it that far. Like it's
No, again, and it's one of those things of I think a lot of officers don't know what they can and cannot do, and that's what I think a lot of it boils down to, and that's why we train our officers multiple times. Understand that know when you're in a public area, know what you can and cannot do. Not just because somebody says you can, because that'll get you into trouble quicker than anything else. Just because I said you can do it doesn't mean you should do it.
Mm-hmm.
So know what you're doing, why you're doing what you're doing. If you don't understand what you're doing, then ask,
right.
so we can help you. So that's all we try and do is make our guys better is what we try and do.
Awesome. Well, Michael, hey, I
Yes, sir.
appreciate you taking the time to speak with me.
Not a problem.
And
When did you serve in the military?
so from the end of 2007 till May of 2011.
Appreciate your service.
I appreciate it. I was in the Air Wing, non-deployable. I was stateside, stationed over at Cherry Point. While I was, oh shit, I didn't realize that was tilted. While I was in the, after I got out of boot camp, I went to combat training, and that was at Lejeune. It was a sub base of Lejeune. About 2 o'clock in the morning, I was on a revolving post, walking around the barracks building, and the guy that was on Armory watch, there were two of them, students, put the M16 in his mouth, put it on 3-round burst, and pulled the trigger. That was the last time they allowed live ammunition on Armory
You said
watch.
Lejeune, is that what you said?
Yeah, it was called
In
Camp.
North Carolina?
Yeah, it was called Camp Devil Dog. It was a small base of Lejeune, and
Jacksonville, North Carolina.
yes. I was trying to. I've always thought of it as Lejeune. It's been so long. I had to think back. Jacksonville, yeah. But and it's like a city on that base, man. It's huge. It's huge. But yeah. So as if the Marine Corps is not a drinking fraternity as it is, here I go and self-medicate using alcohol for what I had seen.
So it's what anybody would do. I mean, it's a cope.
And then they, gave me strict orders. They sent me to rehab, gave me strict orders not to drink anymore. Caught me drinking, discharged for alcohol rehabilitation failure about a year prior to my discharge date. Robbed of all benefits, but just a general discharge, People say all these ugly things online, try to spread, false claims, false rumors that I was dishonorably discharged. They screwed up on that discharge. I honestly believe they should have classified it, if anything, as a medical because of, what I had witnessed. PTSD, I witnessed something traumatic. It caused me to drink. I got, discharged for drinking. I still hadn't gotten a successful challenge of it yet. So, but there are a lot of weird things about that as well. Going back to 2017, I got a FOIA request in on that the day before I got falsely arrested. All along I've thought, well, this is all a cover-up for the original arrest that was obnoxious, standing on the sidewalk holding the flag. But there may have been additional involvement in it because I got the email literally the day before, that actually proves this suicide happened. They actually brought brass in from Virginia, and from my understanding, they came in and they labeled that a training accident. I don't know why it would benefit them to label it a training accident and not a suicide.
Probably, and this is just my guesstimate, me just thinking, is that they labeled it as a suicide. More than likely, his family wouldn't receive any of the benefits. So if they label it as a training accident, the family would receive benefits for that more than likely.
Well, but also it goes to discredit the claims made by people like me that witnessed it. So then I was looked at as like, that didn't happen. We didn't see any suicide. So I set out on a mission investigating, made the right FOIA request, and lo and behold, here's the proof. They changed the SOP on the same day, or at the same time. They, got the fatalities that happened at Lejeune and the surrounding bases for that month, and lo and behold, there he is. And so, but yeah, man, I know you got stuff probably to do in there.
It's my job, man. Talk to people if they need something. So
Awesome. Where's Lieutenant Barr?
he retired.
Did he really?
He's gone. He's done. He's retired. Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yeah.
Did you
Last
take
month.
over his spot?
No, sir. I'm just a captain over patrol.
Okay.
Yes.
Got you. Now, do you have any get out of jail free cards?
I don't have any get out of jail free cards. No.
I actually left my get out of jail free coin in the car.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I did. While I was up in Utah, I met with a chief of police. I call it my get out of jail free coin. It's a challenge coin he gave me, but it's got a badge on the back of it. It's like a mini, it's a coin with a badge on it. It's a Sunset Police Department. And then he gave me some cards. I said, "What is this? My get out of jail free cards right here." So if anything happens, I just pick up the phone and show him the coin. Pick up the phone.
Yeah, because it works that way all the time.
It does. Well, we're in a favor-driven society, so.
I hear you.
Heck yeah. Hey, so this. Let me ask you this. This is a tripod right here.
Okay.
So, do you think that? Do I stand a chance of an officer misinterpreting, especially like if they don't like me? Okay. So it basically, I'll keep that instead of that tripod right there. Keep that on it a lot of times, but it's crazy how much it almost looks like a gun. Do you think? I mean, is law enforcement trained to, like, if they see me holding this? Okay, let me ask. All right, so if you see me, maybe not you, but like, because you probably you show a lot of restraint. You're not, but I'm sure that there are officers. Do you think that there are any officers, like if I'm holding this, or even if I had my video camera right here mounted on it, is it a possibility that could be misinterpreted?
So just looking at that, no, it would not. Now, obviously, if we got a call about you and somebody said, yeah, you had a gun or whatever it may be, we would show up not knowing. Mm-hmm. But again, our officers are trained, like, there is open carry in Mississippi.
Constitutional carry, unless they changed it.
It's open carry is what it is. And as long as you have the gun in a holster like I have it, whatever it is, and that's perfectly fine as long as you hold it in your hand. I can look at that and tell. Now, at nighttime,
right.
I can't say.
It feels like.
Yeah, I can't say. Now that would look. Yeah. So again, at nighttime, it could be a totally different story. Again, I don't know. I just don't look at that. I don't perceive that as a firearm. So.
Neat little tool or neat little thing right here, because I can just rotate it like that, and so.
Hang on one second.
Yeah.
Yes, sir. Still outside. Okay.
So,
Deputy Chief.
Okay, he's calling you in, huh?
Yeah, he's calling me in.
So, all right, attorney, should I file a criminal affidavit? I mean, I prepare all kinds of legal documents. If I drafted up a criminal affidavit, submit it to the Attorney General's office, if I was going to, go the state route, I don't necessarily think the DA on something like that, because it's a state trooper. I would think it maybe would fall more into the jurisdiction of the Attorney General's office.
And you can try it. I mean, my opinion is if you've tried everything so far, then why not go a step further and try it again? That's how I
Right.
feel. If you feel you were wronged in that way 100% and everything else, and
Oh, I know. Well, I want the DOJ to do a pattern and practice investigation
Yeah.
into it, because it's, you know, honestly, it's some real shady stuff surrounding
Sure.
all of that.
Understand.
But yeah, definitely.
Yes,
Hey,
sir.
be on the lookout for my book, man.
It was a pleasure meeting you.
Pleasure meeting you too.
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Be safe, okay?
Yes, sir. You too.